What's going on, everybody? Sabus here, and today I'm going to be doing a quick overview of all of the Bardin careers at level 15, because I feel like it's the half point for everything, and it's starting to get a little more into the traits and talents, but you're not all the way, obviously, yet. So first we're going to start off with Ranger Veteran Bardin, and for him I'm using the single-handed axe and a crossbow. I use a single-handed axe because it's really good against tougher opponents, and it does a lot of armor piercing damage, which I think is very useful to a ranged character like Bardin. I'm going to go ahead and move this down here to make it easier. And here we go, we're going to test on the unarmored dummy. We do 1,225 each hit. And the armored dummy, we do 975, which is pretty respectable. There's not too much drop there. With weapons such as the one-handed hammer, if it loads, we do 800 to the unarmored dummy, and we do 0 to the armored dummy. So, as you can see, a lot more power versus armored opponents. It's also shield breaking, which is really good, meaning that in a tight spot, you'll be a lot better off. Ranged weapon, I use the crossbow because it has really good armor piercing, as you can see there, and it is really good at penetrating targets. Now obviously it's hard to show on dummies because it doesn't allow it to penetrate dummies, but on enemies it does go through multiple enemies. I think up to like 3 chaos grunts, which is really, really good. Another plus of the axe is the hero power. It's pretty quick, so for the whole time that we're inside this smoke bomb, we can be taking out all sorts of enemies, doing all sorts of damage. There's no slowdown because we don't have to power attack. And as you can see, the power attacks do a fair amount more, but not a ton. So, it's pretty good. For traits and talents, I use Faux Feller, increase attack speed by 5% for those sticky situations. Last Resort to increase power when he's out of ammunition, because with a lot of his weapons, he doesn't have a ton of ammunition. And I use Grungni's Cunning to increase the amount of ammo restored by the ammo pickups. Overall, I think he's real good against single targets. He does very little drop when it comes to the crossbow, and it's very accurate, and you'd be pretty hard pressed to miss a standing enemy, and it would be pretty hard pressed to not also kill a standing enemy with a headshot. And next up we've got Iron Breaker, and again I use an axe. However, this time I have a shield with it because I feel like Iron Breaker, with his huge benefits in stamina and damage reduction as well as his passive, is super good at blocking and taunting, and he's probably one of the best heroes for it. Damage wise, pretty heavy damage with both armored and unarmored, which is what I like to have with these weapons. Similar situation to the other, where the hammer does decent damage to unarmored, but no damage to armored. The shield also has a bash attack. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the damage output by it, but it's pretty much a stamina-free damaging shield bash, and you can cycle them like so to do a lot of taunting and a lot of pushback. Ranged weapons, I generally use the Drakefire pistols because I play at higher difficulties, as in higher than Veteran and Recruit, because they're much better at single target removal. As you can see, 1500 a shot is pretty powerful. Only 350 against armored, which isn't fantastic, but the rate that you can fire at is pretty good, and the stagger is also fantastic. The other weapon that you can use at lower difficulties, like Recruit and Veteran, would be the Drakefire gun, and it has a charged attack here that you can charge up and does sustained damage over time to a lot of enemies, which is really powerful at the lower difficulties. Now, it becomes kind of irrelevant at higher difficulties because targets have more health and are more resilient, so the Drakefire pistols tend to be more effective than the Drakefire gun. Taking a look at his talents, I use Indefatigable, granting 1 extra stamina shield. Miner's Rhythm, after landing a successful charge attack, Bardin recovers 40% stamina stamina 40% faster for 2 seconds, sorry, and Tunnel Fighter, reducing the cooldown of Gromwell armor to 30 seconds. I'm going for the take as little damage as possible and protect your teammates approach with Bardin, since he can absorb one hit every 13 seconds with these talents. Overall, really good taunt, really good tank, a fantastic team playing hero. Last and kind of least for level 15 is Slayer Bardin. Now for him, obviously you're going to use the double axes because the damage output is absolutely insane with them, both to armored and unarmored, just because of the sheer amount of attacks. Secondary weapon, since he doesn't have a ranged weapon, I use the pick. Very good armor piercing. Not good against single targets like this, single armored targets, but really good against waves of enemies, or good against single targets when power attacking. And paired along with his ultimate, can be swung fairly fast through hordes of enemies to do a lot of cleaving damage with. Going to his talents, we've got Stout Fellow, increasing his health by 25%. Oblivious to Pain, damage taken from one attack is reduced to 15 damage or half of its original value, whichever is highest. And Moving Target, Trophy Hunter, also increases defense with every stacking buff. Now, I'm not a big fan of Slayer Bardin at level 15 because he tends to die a lot. Tends to get knocked down a lot, meaning that you're taking a lot of extra healing with him. Whereas if you wait until you're level 20, we can take a look here, and at Grudgeborn, kills grant temporary health, meaning that he has a way to restore health actively by killing enemies. And this is especially useful because this means he doesn't ever have to block. He can just keep attacking, keep gaining that temporary health if he's ever low, and it works out really well, especially with the ultimate where he attacks over and over and over. Now this is also good when paired with the Moving Target, because he'll increase damage, increase his health, and increase his defense. So you'll be gaining health generally faster than you're losing it once you're level 20. So in my opinion, I would wait until you're level 20 to really try to farm with Slayer Bardin. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and discuss it down in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.